Ambassador Kate sat in her office on Unity Station and stared at the message on her screen. The encryption was old, the kind they used for their most urgent communications. Her hands shook slightly as she decoded it. The message was from Elder himself. Kate remembered him well. 25 years ago, when she was just a young colonist on the ship Bright Future, had saved her life. He had saved 300 lives that day. She read the message 3 times. Each time her chest tightened. It was under attack. The Dominion had sent a massive fleet. 600 warships surrounded Prime. The defense forces had been crushed in the first week. Now they were preparing for a final assault. Millions would die. Elder was asking for help, not demanding. Asking, the way he had asked nothing in return 25 years ago when he saved the human colonists. Kate closed her eyes and remembered that day. The Bright Future had been 3 months into its journey to establish Earth's first deep space colony. Then the reactor core malfunctioned. Radiation leaked into the ship. The crew tried everything, but the damage was too severe. They sent a distress call, knowing they were too far from Earth for rescue. For 2 days they waited. People got sick. Children cried. The ship's doctor worked day and night, but radiation poisoning was spreading. Kate had been one of the sick ones, lying in the medical bay with dozens of others. Then the ship arrived. They were not a powerful species anymore. Once, thousands of years ago, they had been among the galaxy's great civilizations, but time had not been kind to them. Their empire had faded. Their numbers had decreased. By the time they met humanity, only a few million remained on there. But when they received the human distress call, they came. Elder had been the captain of that vessel. He brought medical supplies that his people could barely spare. He brought technicians who worked for 3 days straight to repair the Bright Future's reactor. He brought hope when humanity had none. Kate remembered waking up in the medical bay, her fever broken. A tall with silver skin and kind eyes stood beside her bed. That was. "You will live," he had said in his deep voice. "All of you will live." "Why?" Kate had asked. "Why help us? You don't know us." Had smiled. "Because helping those in need is what separates civilization from chaos. Because someday, perhaps you will help another who needs it. That is how goodness spreads across the stars." Now, 25 years later, Kate printed the message and walked to the council chambers. The Galactic Council was already in session. Representatives from 40 species sat in their designated areas. The chamber was huge, a dome of clear material that showed the stars beyond. Kate walked to the human section and waited for her turn to speak. High Chancellor Morin, a towering figure from the species, was discussing trade agreements. Kate waited patiently. Finally, he called for new business. Kate stood. "I have an urgent matter." Morin gestured for her to continue. "Thee is under attack by the Dominion," Kate said. Her voice was calm but firm. "They have requested aid." The chamber filled with murmurs. Several representatives checked their data pads. Archon, the representative from the Confederacy, spoke up. "Thee are a powerful empire. They have been expanding for decades. This is unfortunate, but thee are a minor species. We cannot risk war with the—" "They saved 300 human lives," Kate said. "They asked for nothing in return." "That was their choice," replied. "Sentiment does not override strategic reality. They have thousands of warships. Any intervention would be costly." Kate looked around the chamber. She saw the same expression on many faces. Sympathy but not action, regret but not commitment. "I call for a vote," she said. The vote was quick. 37 species voted against intervention. 2 voted in favor. 1 abstained. Kate stood in silence as the chamber moved on to other business. She looked at the stars beyond the dome and thought of Elder. She thought of the children he had saved, who were now adults with children of their own. She thought of the technician who had worked 40 hours without sleep to fix the reactor. She thought of civilization versus chaos. She walked out of the chamber. 3 hours later, Kate stood in Fleet Command on Earth. Admiral Ben Carter and General Lisa waited for her. The office was plain, military efficiency rather than decoration. A large screen showed the positions of human ships across known space. "They said no," Kate told them. Admiral Carter was a man in his 60s, gray-haired and steady. He had been a lieutenant on the Bright Future 25 years ago. He had been sick with radiation poisoning too. He remembered the— "What do we say?" he asked. Kate looked at both of them. "Humanity remembers." General nodded. She was younger than Carter, sharp-eyed and quick. "The Council thinks we're weak. They think we have 47 ships and nothing more." "Let them think that," Carter said, "for now." He turned to his command console and entered a series of codes. All across Earth, in hidden facilities and secret shipyards, alarms began to sound. Military personnel reported to their stations. Starship crews received orders to prepare for immediate deployment. Kate watched as the screen updated. Icons appeared, showing ships that were not supposed to exist. Ships the Council did not know about. Ships that humanity had been building in secret for 2 decades. "How long until we can move?" she asked. 72 hours, Carter said. "We need to bring the fleet together. The Titan yards are ready. The ships just need crews." "They'll have maybe a week before the attack," Kate said. "Then we have no time to waste." Carter opened a communication channel. His face appeared on screens across every human military installation in the solar system. "This is Admiral Carter. Code Crimson Shield is now active. All fleet personnel report to stations. All vessels prepare for immediate combat deployment. We are going to war." General pulled up a tactical display. "The siege fleet has 600 ships. Intelligence says they're preparing a planetary bombardment. Once that starts, nothing will be left." "How many ships can we field?" Kate asked. 812, Carter said. "Plus the Marines, plus the new weapon systems. They have never fought us before. They don't know what we can do." Kate felt something cold settle in her stomach. This was real. This was happening. Humanity was going to war against one of the galaxy's most powerful empires, for the debt they owed, for the principle that good deeds should not be forgotten. "The Council will try to stop us," she said. "Let them try," replied. Carter looked at both women. "Are we sure about this? Once we start, there's no going back. The galaxy will know what we've been hiding. They'll know we're not the weak newcomers they thought we were." Kate remembered words, because helping those in need is what separates civilization from chaos. "I'm sure," she said. "Then it's decided." Carter entered the final authorization codes. Across the solar system, the human fleet began to move. In the Titan shipyards, hidden in Saturn's rings, massive vessels powered up their engines. In the asteroid belt, destroyer groups formed into battle formations. Near Mars, carrier groups loaded their fighter craft. Around Earth itself, the flagship Defiant prepared to depart. Kate sent one message to Unity Station, to be delivered to the Council. It was short. "Humanity will honor its debts. We will not stand by while our friends face destruction. We are coming." She sent another message, this one encrypted in the old code. It would take 2 days to reach Elder. "We remember, help is on the way." The Galactic Council received Kate's message at dawn, Unity Station time. High Chancellor Morin read it twice, then called an emergency session. "The humans are mobilizing," he announced to the gathered representatives. "They intend to intervene in the situation." Archon laughed. It was not a kind sound. "With what? Their registered fleet has 47 vessels. Most are exploration ships that will crush them in minutes." "Perhaps we should warn them," suggested representative from the collective. "They are acting with noble intentions, but they will die for nothing." "Let them learn," said. "The humans need to understand their place in this galaxy. They are newcomers, weak. This will teach them that heroic gestures mean nothing against real power." Morin felt uneasy. He had dealt with humans for 5 years now, ever since they joined the Council. They were strange. They smiled too much. They asked questions instead of accepting what they were told. They seemed soft, emotional, driven by sentiment rather than logic. But they also had something in their eyes, something that Morin could not quite name. When a human made a promise, they kept it. When they said they would do something, they did it. "Monitor their movements," Morin ordered. "We will observe." 2 days later, the first human ships appeared near Unity Station. Morin stood in the observation deck and watched them arrive. His aide stood beside him, reading reports from sensors. "How many ships?" Morin asked. The aide checked his data pad. His hands trembled slightly. "Sir, initial count shows 200 vessels. No, wait, 300. They're still arriving." Morin felt his skin prickle. 300? That's impossible. Earth's registered fleet is 47 ships. "I know, sir, but they're here, and they're not stopping." More ships dropped out of slip space. Destroyers, cruisers, carriers, vessels that looked nothing like the exploration ships humanity had registered with the Council. These were warships, purpose-built, armed, dangerous. 400 now, the aide whispered. 500, sir, where did they come from? Morin watched as the human fleet assembled. They moved with precision, falling into formation like they had done this 1,000 times before. Each ship took its position perfectly. The coordination was flawless. "Get me Admiral Carter," Morin ordered. "Now." The communication took a minute to connect. When Admiral Carter's face appeared on the screen, Morin barely recognized him. The soft-spoken human diplomat who had visited the Council was gone. This man wore a military uniform. His eyes were hard. "Chancellor Morin," Carter said. His voice was polite but cold. "What is the meaning of this?" Morin demanded. "You have violated registration protocols. Earth declared 47 vessels." "We declared 47 exploration and diplomatic vessels," Carter corrected. "That was accurate. These are military vessels. Different category. You never asked about our military capacity." Morin felt anger rise in his chest. "You deliberately misled the Council." "We gave you the information you requested. Nothing more, nothing less." Carter's expression did not change. "Now, if you'll excuse me, we have a schedule to keep." "You cannot do this," Morin said. "They will destroy you. Even with 500 ships, you are outmatched." 500? Carter almost smiled. "Chancellor, you're only seeing the fleet elements that are passing by Unity Station. The rest went ahead." "The rest? We'll be fine, thank you for your concern." Carter cut the transmission. Morin stood in silence. His aide was still counting ships as they passed the station. 800, the aide said. 812 vessels, sir, this changes everything." Morin knew he was right. Humanity had just revealed themselves as a major military power. The implications were staggering. Where did they build these ships? He wondered aloud. Far from Unity Station, in the rings of Saturn, Dr. Sophie walked beside Admiral Carter through the Titan shipyards. The Admiral had returned to inspect the facilities one last time before leading the fleet to space. The shipyards were enormous. They stretched for hundreds of kilometers, hidden among Saturn's ice and rock. Massive construction bays held ships in various stages of completion. Thousands of workers moved between the vessels, making final adjustments. "We've been building here for 18 years, Sophie said. She was proud of her work. "After first contact, the governments of Earth decided we needed insurance. The galaxy was bigger than we thought, more dangerous. We couldn't rely on others to protect us." Carter looked at a destroyer being fitted with weapon systems. "The Council thought we were naive, trusting, weak." "We let them think that," Sophie agreed. "Meanwhile, we took every piece of alien technology we could get, every sensor scan, every trade good, every sample. We studied it, improved it, made it our own." They entered a research laboratory. Scientists worked at stations, testing weapons that glowed with barely contained energy. "The fusion lance," Sophie said, pointing to one weapon. "We took plasma technology and combined it with human magnetic acceleration. The result is a beam that cuts through shields like they're not even there." "And the torpedoes?" Carter asked. "Quantum disruption. We learned about phase shifting from we added our own twist. These torpedoes shift out of phase, pass through shields and armor, then detonate inside the target vessel." Sophie's smile was cold. "Very effective." Carter moved to another station. "What about defenses?" "Adaptive shield matrices. They analyze incoming fire and adjust frequency in microseconds. Kinetic barriers for physical projectiles. Point defense lasers for missiles and fighters. We also have electronic warfare capabilities that can jam enemy sensors and communications." "They have never seen any of this," Carter said. "No one has. We've been very careful. All testing was done in deep space, far from any observation. All our combat drills were classified. As far as the galaxy knows, humans are explorers and traders." Carter walked to a window that overlooked the main construction bay. A massive ship sat there, nearly complete, the flagship Defiant, his ship. "How many people know about this?" he asked. "About the shipyards? Maybe 10,000. About the full extent of our military? Maybe 100. Earth's governments kept it quiet, need to know only. The Council will be angry when they find out." Sophie shrugged. "Let them be angry. They had their chance to help they chose politics over principle. We're choosing differently." General Lisa joined them. She had been inspecting the marine training facilities. "The troops are ready," she reported. 20,000 Marines across the fleet, full combat armor, boarding equipment, zero-gravity warfare training. They're the best we've ever fielded. "Good," Carter checked his tactical display. "Fleet assembly is complete. All ships are ready. Crews are at full strength." "Then we should move," said. They walked to the command center. The room was filled with officers monitoring every aspect of the fleet. Screens showed ship positions, supply levels, weapons status. Everything was green. Everything was ready. Commander Parker stood at the tactical station. He had been planning the assault for weeks. "Sir," he said when Carter entered, "final battle plan is uploaded to all ships. We'll approach space in 3 waves. First wave, destroyers and frigates. They'll engage the siege line and create openings. Second wave, fighters and bombers. They'll exploit those openings and hit the carriers. Third wave, heavy cruisers and the Defiant. Will break their command structure." "Expected casualties?" Carter asked. Parker hesitated. "Unknown, sir. We've never fought Our simulations suggest we'll win, but there are variables we can't predict." "War always has variables," said. "That's why we train, that's why we prepare." Carter looked at the faces around him. Young officers, veterans, scientists, Marines, all of them ready to fight for people they had never met, for a debt that only some of them even remembered. "Why are we doing this?" he asked them. "Really, tell me why." Lieutenant Kelly Brooks, a communications officer, spoke up. "Because it's right, sir." "Because they helped us when no one else would," added Captain Dan Foster from Intelligence. "Because if we don't stand up for our friends, what does that make us?" said Parker. Carter nodded slowly. 25 years ago, Elder told a young colonist that helping those in need separates civilization from chaos. He was right. The Council chose to let the die. They chose politics and fear. We're choosing something different. He activated the fleet-wide communication system. His face appeared on screens across 800 ships. 60,000 men and women saw him. "This is Admiral Carter. In 6 hours, we will drop out of slip space in territory. We will face an enemy that outnumbers us. An enemy that thinks we're weak. An enemy that has never lost a major battle. But they don't know us. They don't know what humans are capable of when we fight for something we believe in." He paused, letting his words sink in. "They saved our people when they had no reason to. They asked for nothing, expected nothing. Now they're dying and the galaxy is watching it happen. Everyone except us. We remember what they did. We remember their kindness. And we're going to show the entire galaxy what it means when humans return a favor." The fleet began to move. 800 ships activated their slip space drives. One by one, they vanished from Saturn's orbit, heading towards space. On Unity Station, High Chancellor Morin watched them go. He felt something he had not felt in many years. Prime hung in space like a blue and green jewel. From orbit, it looked peaceful, beautiful. But the siege fleet surrounding it told a different story. War Marshal Thrace stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion. He was a large being, even for a... His gray skin was marked with scars from 100 battles. His 4 eyes watched the planet below with satisfaction. "Status report," he commanded. His tactical officer checked the displays. "All 600 ships are in position. The defense fleet has been eliminated. Planetary shields are at 40% and falling. We estimate they will fail within 3 days." "Good. Once the shields fall, we begin bombardment. Make sure the population centers are hit first. The need to understand the cost of refusing our terms." "Yes, War Marshal." Thrace had been fighting for the Dominion for 30 years. He had conquered 12 systems. He had destroyed fleets twice the size of this pathetic defense force. This would be an easy victory. His communication officer spoke up. "War Marshal, we're receiving a transmission. Long-range sensors detect a fleet approaching." "Whose fleet?" "The identification codes say, human, sir." Thrace turned. "Human, the species from Earth." "Yes, sir." Thrace had heard of humans, new to the galaxy, primitive, weak. They had joined the Galactic Council only 5 years ago. Their registered fleet was laughable. "How many ships?" he asked. "Sensors show 800 vessels, sir." Thrace's eyes widened. "That's impossible. Verify those readings." The officer checked again. "Confirmed, sir. 800 human warships. They're dropping out of slip space at the system's edge." "This makes no sense." Thrace pulled up the intelligence files on humanity. According to every report, Earth had fewer than 50 ships. Where did 800 come from? Open a channel, he ordered. The communication screen activated. A human face appeared, an older male with gray hair and cold eyes. He wore a military uniform. I am War Marshal Thrace of the Dominion. You are entering a restricted military zone. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed. The human's expression did not change. I am Admiral Ben Carter of the Earth Defense Fleet. We are here to protect our allies. You will withdraw your forces from this system. Thrace almost laughed. You have 800 ships, I have 600, but my vessels are battle-tested. My crews have fought in dozens of wars. What have humans fought? Nothing. You are children playing with weapons you don't understand. Leave now and I will spare your lives. Negative, Carter said. You have 30 minutes to begin withdrawal. After that, we will engage. Then you will die. Thrace cut the transmission. He turned to his officers. Battle stations. All ships prepare for combat. Let's show these humans what real warriors can do. The fleet moved into attack formation. 600 warships, each one a veteran of countless battles. Their shields powered up. Their weapons locked onto the approaching human vessels. Thrace felt confident. The humans were making a mistake, a fatal one. On the bridge of the Defiant, Admiral Carter watched the fleet mobilize. Commander Parker stood beside him, monitoring tactical displays. They're taking the bait, Parker said. They think we're amateurs. Good, Carter replied. Let them think that right up until the first shots. All ships report ready, sir, said Lieutenant Kelly Brooks from Communications. Carter opened a channel to the entire fleet. All vessels, this is Defiant Actual. Execute Plan Delta 7. First wave, you are go. 30 destroyers and frigates broke formation and accelerated toward the siege line. They were small ships, fast and maneuverable. They responded by moving 100 vessels to intercept. Captain Jake commanded the destroyer Swift Justice. He had been waiting for this moment. His crew was ready. His weapons were hot. All ships maintain formation, he ordered. Wait for weapons range, steady. The ships opened fire first. Energy beams and missiles streaked through space. The distance was extreme, but they wanted to show the humans their power. Evasive maneuvers, said calmly. The human destroyers scattered. Their engines produced thrust that shouldn't have been possible for ships their size. They dodged and weaved through the incoming fire. Only a few shots connected, and the human shields absorbed them easily. Return fire, commanded. Fusion lances, maximum power. The Swift Justice and her sister ships fired. Bright blue beams of superheated plasma and magnetic energy lanced across the void. They hit shields and kept going, cutting through them like paper. 3 cruisers exploded in the first volley. On the Eternal Dominion, Thrace stared in shock. What just happened? Sir, the human weapons penetrated our shields. Direct hull impacts. We lost 3 ships. How is that possible? Unknown, sir. Our shields should have stopped those weapons. Thrace gritted his teeth. All ships focus fire on those destroyers, destroy them. But the human ships were already moving. They split into smaller groups, forcing them to divide their attention. Every time a vessel fired, the humans were somewhere else. Every time they tried to predict their movements, the humans changed tactics. Captain saw his opening. All ships converge on target cluster 7, concentrated fire. The destroyers came together and unleashed everything they had on a group of frigates. Fusion lances tore through hulls. Kinetic rounds punched holes in armor. In 30 seconds, 8 ships were crippled or destroyed. Second wave, you are go, Carter said from the Defiant. Lieutenant Amy led her fighter squadron off the carrier Valiant. 300 fighters launched from a dozen carriers. They were small, quick, and deadly. They had fighters too, but they flew in rigid formations. Predictable patterns, military doctrine from centuries of warfare. Human fighters flew like nothing they had ever seen. Rolled her fighter sideways, dodged a missile, and came up behind a bomber. She fired a burst from her cannons, and the bomber exploded. Her wingman took out another. All around her, human pilots were doing the same thing. Stay loose, she called to her squadron. Don't let them pin you down, keep moving, keep firing. The human fighters swarmed through the formations. They used tactics from atmospheric combat, impossible maneuvers that only worked because human pilots trained in multiple gravity environments. Barrel rolls, split-second timing, coordinated strikes that looked chaotic but were precisely calculated. The fighters tried to respond, but their pilots had never faced anything like this. Every time they got a lock, the humans were gone. Every time they formed up, the humans hit them from a new angle. Saw a carrier ahead. All wings target that carrier, lighted up. 60 fighters dove toward the carrier. Point defense lasers tried to shoot them down, but the human electronic warfare systems jammed the targeting computers. Half the shots went wide. The fighters got through and launched their torpedoes. The quantum disruption torpedoes phased through the carrier's shields. They materialized inside the hull and detonated. The carrier broke apart from internal explosions. War Marshal Thrace watched his fleet start to crumble. In less than an hour, he had lost 50 ships. 50. And the human capital ships hadn't even engaged yet. "Sir, the human heavy cruisers are moving," his tactical officer reported. Thrace saw them on his display, 40 massive warships led by the Defiant. They came forward slowly, deliberately, like predators that knew their prey couldn't escape. "All remaining ships concentrate fire on those cruisers," Thrace ordered. "Everything we have." 200 vessels turned their weapons on the approaching human cruisers. Energy beams, missiles, kinetic rounds, everything in the arsenal. The human ships activated their shields. Adaptive matrices analyzed each incoming shot and adjusted. Energy weapons were deflected or absorbed. Kinetic rounds were stopped by magnetic barriers. Missiles were destroyed by point defense lasers. A few shots got through. The human armor was tough. It bent but did not break. And then the human cruisers fired back. Commander Chris, tactical officer on the Defiant, called out targets. "Main batteries lock on flagship. Fire." The Defiant's fusion lances struck the Eternal Dominion's shields. The shields held for 3 seconds. Then they collapsed. The next volley hit the hull directly. Thrace felt his ship shake. Alarms screamed. Fires broke out on multiple decks. "Damage report," he shouted. "Hull breaches on decks 12 through 18. Shield generators offline. Weapons systems at 60%. The other human cruisers were tearing through the fleet. Each shot was precise. Each target was calculated. There was no wasted fire, no panic, just methodical destruction. "Sir, we've lost 200 ships," his officer reported. "The fleet is breaking." Thrace could not believe it. His fleet, undefeated for a decade, was being destroyed by a species he had never even considered a threat. "Retreat," he ordered. "All ships fall back, jump to slip space." But the human destroyers were still moving. They positioned themselves to cut off escape routes. Human fighters harassed the ships trying to flee. The human cruisers kept firing. Admiral Carter watched the fleet scatter. Some ships managed to jump away. Others were too damaged. Others were too slow. "Cease fire," he ordered. "Let them run." The battle ended as quickly as it had started. In 4 hours, the siege of Prime was broken. 300 ships destroyed, 200 in retreat, the rest damaged and fleeing. The human fleet had lost 12 ships, 500 personnel dead or wounded. Carter felt the weight of those losses. 500 people who would not go home, but he had known the cost when he gave the order. "Open a channel to Prime," he said. The screen showed Elder. The old's eyes were wet. His hands trembled. "Admiral Carter," said, his voice was thick with emotion. "You came, you actually came." "We told you we would," Carter replied. "The debt is paid, but we're not leaving. We'll stay until you're safe." "You saved us," whispered. "My world, my people, because we helped you once 25 years ago." "Because it was the right thing to do," Carter said. "You taught us that." On Unity Station, High Chancellor Morin watched the battle reports with growing disbelief. The humans had done the impossible. They had defeated a superior force. They had revealed military capabilities that shocked the entire galaxy. And they had done it for one reason, because they remembered a debt. The news of humanity's victory spread across the galaxy in hours. Every species with access to communication networks heard about it. The impossible battle, the crushing defeat of the revelation of Earth's hidden military might. High Chancellor Morin called another emergency council session. This time, every representative attended. The chamber was full. Tension filled the air. Ambassador Kate walked to the human section. She could feel every eye on her. Some looks were fearful, others were angry, a few showed respect. Morin stood at the center podium. His voice was controlled, but Kate could hear the strain beneath it. Ambassador, you will explain yourself. Earth has violated multiple council protocols. You concealed military assets. You engaged in warfare without authorization. You have endangered the stability of this entire region. Kate stood. She met Morin's gaze without flinching. With respect, Chancellor, we violated no protocols. Earth registered all vessels required under Council law. Those were civilian and diplomatic ships. The Council never asked about military vessels. We never lied. We simply didn't volunteer information you didn't request. Semantics, snapped Archon. You deliberately misled us. Did we? Kate asked. Or did you make assumptions? You assumed humans were weak because we were new to the galaxy. You assumed we would accept your judgment on the situation. You assumed we had no capacity to act. Every assumption was yours, not ours. Skin darkened with anger. You have made an enemy of the Dominion. Do you understand what that means? They will not forgive this humiliation. They will retaliate. Let them try, Kate said calmly. We'll be ready. This arrogance will doom you, warned. It's not arrogance, it's fact. For 20 years, while you debated and discussed, we prepared, we built, we trained. We did what was necessary to protect ourselves and those we care about. The needed help. The Council said no. We said yes, that's the difference between us. Representative from the collective spoke up. His voice was thoughtful. Ambassador, I must ask, why? They are not a powerful species. They cannot offer you resources or territory. Why risk so much for them? Kate looked at him. Because 25 years ago they saved 300 human lives. They asked for nothing in return. Elder told one of our survivors that helping those in need separates civilization from chaos. We believed him. We still believe him. A debt, said slowly. You went to war over a debt of honor. Yes. The chamber was silent. Kate could see the representatives trying to understand. Most of them came from cultures where such thinking was ancient history. Debt, honor, loyalty, these were old concepts. The modern galaxy ran on trade agreements and political alliances. But humanity remembered older ways. Morin spoke again. The Empress has declared that Earth is now an enemy of the Dominion. She is mobilizing their full armada. 2,000 warships, Ambassador. What will you do when they arrive? Kate had been expecting this. We'll fight them. You cannot win against 2,000 ships. Perhaps not alone, Kate agreed, but we won't be alone. She activated a data transmission. Information flooded into every representative's console. Details of humanity's military capabilities, ship designs, weapon specifications, strategic doctrine, everything the Council had wanted to know. We're sharing this freely, Kate said, because the galaxy needs to understand something. Humanity is not seeking conquest. We're not interested in dominating others. We built this fleet for one purpose, to protect those who cannot protect themselves, to stand against aggression, to honor our debts. She paused, letting that sink in. The Empress wants to make an example of us. She wants to show the galaxy what happens when someone challenges the Dominion. Fine, let her try. But here's what I want the Council to know. When the Armada arrives at Prime, humanity will be there. We will fight. And we will ask one question of every species in this chamber. Kate looked around the room, meeting as many eyes as she could. Will you stand with us? Will you defend the principle that aggression should not be rewarded? Will you protect those who cannot protect themselves? Or will you sit here and debate while people die? The silence was absolute. Kate continued. We're not demanding anything. We're not threatening anyone. We're simply making an offer. Stand with humanity and stand for something that matters, or don't. The choice is yours, but we will be there either way. She sent out another transmission. This one went to every species in the galaxy, not just Council members. It was a simple message, broadcast on all frequencies. This is Ambassador Kate of Earth. 25 years ago, they saved 300 human colonists. They asked for nothing in return. Now they face destruction from the Dominion. Humanity will defend them. We invite any species that believes in protecting the innocent to join us. Together, we can show the galaxy that kindness deserves to be rewarded, not punished. Together, we can stand against tyranny. She ended the transmission and sat down. Morin looked shaken. You have just invited half the galaxy to war. I invited them to stand for their principles, Kate corrected. What they choose to do is up to them. Far across the galaxy in the heart of the Dominion, Empress watched the human broadcast. She was ancient, even for she had ruled for 80 years. She had expanded the Dominion through fear and military might. No one challenged her, no one dared. Until now. How long until the Armada is ready? She asked her war leader. 3 days, Empress, 2,000 ships, every available vessel. Good, we will destroy the human fleet. We will bombard Prime until nothing lives, and then we will move on to Earth itself. This species needs to learn what happens when you defy the Dominion. The humans destroyed War Marshal Thrace's fleet, the war leader reminded her carefully. Thrace was a fool. He underestimated them. I will not make that mistake. We will bring overwhelming force. We will show the galaxy that they cannot be defeated. On Prime, Elder stood in the council chambers of his people. The building had been damaged by bombardment. Repair crews worked day and night to fix it. The humans say they are coming back, one of the senators said. With 2,000 ships, we cannot survive that. Perhaps we should surrender. No, said firmly. The humans came to help us, they fought for us, they died for us. We will not abandon them now. But what can we do? Our defense fleet is gone. We can stand beside them, replied. We can show the galaxy that they also remember debts. The humans saved us. Now we stand with them, whatever comes. On Unity Station, Captain Dan Foster reviewed intelligence reports in his small office. His job was to monitor communications across the galaxy. He was very good at it. His console beeped, an incoming transmission, then another, then a dozen. Dan read them, and his eyes widened. He ran to find Ambassador. Kate was in her quarters, preparing for what she knew would be a difficult fight. The Armada was massive. Even with humanity's advantages, 2,000 ships would be hard to defeat. Dan burst through her door. Ambassador, you need to see this. He showed her his data pad. Kate read the messages, and she felt something warm spread through her chest. The first message was from the Republic. We remember when they helped us fight the pirate fleets 30 years ago. They gave us medical aid when plague struck our colonies. We send 50 warships to stand with humanity and the second was from the Collective. Representative has convinced our council. The humans are right, principles matter. We send 30 ships. More messages came. Species that had been helped by the species inspired by humanity's courage. Species tired of watching aggression go unchallenged. 10 ships from the Alliance, 15 from the Empire, 20 from the Free Traders Coalition. Even small species sent what they could. 5 ships here, 3 ships there. Everyone mattered. How many total? Kate asked. So far, 90 additional ships, Dan said, and more are still responding. Kate sat down. She had hoped for some support. She had not expected this. Send a message to Admiral Carter, she said. Tell him the coalition is forming. On the Defiant, Admiral Carter received the news. Commander Parker was with him, updating battle plans. 90 ships, Carter said. That brings us to almost 900 total. It's still not enough, Parker warned. They have 2,000, will be outnumbered more than 2 to 1. But we won't be alone, Carter said, and that matters. General Lisa entered the bridge. Sir, I've been coordinating with the other species' military commanders. Most of them have never fought together. Their tactics are different. Their communication protocols don't match. We need time to integrate them into our battle plan. How much time? Ideally, a week. We have 3 days, Carter said. Then we make it work in 3 days, replied. Carter opened a channel to the entire coalition fleet. His face appeared on screens across 90 different vessels, crewed by a dozen different species. This is Admiral Ben Carter of the Earth Defense Fleet. To all coalition forces, welcome. We are honored to fight beside you. In 3 days, we will face the largest armada they have ever assembled. They want to make an example of us. They want to show the galaxy that challenging them is futile. We're going to prove them wrong. He paused. I won't lie to you. This will be the hardest battle any of us have ever fought. Some of us won't survive, but we're fighting for something that matters. We're fighting for the principle that kindness deserves to be rewarded, that good deeds should not be forgotten, that when someone needs help, we don't debate, we act. They understood that 25 years ago. Now it's our turn to show the galaxy what that principle means. Across the Coalition fleet, crews from different worlds, different cultures, different beliefs all heard the same message. And all of them prepared for war. In his quarters on Prime, Elder recorded a message. He was old, he was tired, but his voice was strong. To the human people, to Admiral Carter, to all those who have come to defend my world, you have shown the galaxy something beautiful, something we thought was lost. You have shown that compassion is not weakness, that remembering debts is not foolishness, that standing for what is right matters more than political convenience. Whatever happens in the coming battle, know that we'll never forget. Your names will be remembered for all time. Your courage will inspire generations. Thank you. He sent the message and looked at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Armada was coming. But humanity was ready. The Armada arrived 3 days later. 2,000 warships dropped out of slip space at the edge of the system. They came in perfect formation, a display of military power that had never been matched in galactic history. Empress commanded from her flagship, the Fist of Dominion. It was the largest warship in the known galaxy. Its weapons could destroy a city in seconds. Its shields could withstand sustained bombardment from 100 ships. She stood on the bridge and looked at the tactical display. The Coalition fleet waited near Prime, 900 ships, a mix of humans and others. They actually gathered forces, she said to her war leader. I'm almost impressed. Should we offer terms, Empress? No, we gave them a chance to withdraw. They refused. Now they learn the cost of defiance. All ships advance, destroy everything. The Armada moved forward like a wave of death. On the Defiant, Admiral Carter watched them come. Commander Parker stood beside him, monitoring every sensor reading. They're not even trying to be subtle, Parker said. Just raw force. They want to crush us through numbers alone. Then we'll show them that numbers aren't everything, Carter replied. He opened a channel to the Coalition fleet. All ships, this is Admiral Carter. Execute defensive formation Beta 3. Stay tight. Support each other. Remember your training. The Coalition fleet moved into position. The human ships formed the core. The Allied vessels arranged themselves around them, creating overlapping fields of fire. Captain Jake commanded the destroyer Swift Justice, positioned on the fleet's right flank. Lieutenant Amy and her fighter squadrons were ready to launch from the carriers. General Lisa had Marines standing by for boarding actions if the opportunity came. Everyone was ready. The fleet opened fire at extreme range. Thousands of energy beams and missiles streaked across space. It was a wall of destruction. All ships evasive maneuvers, Carter ordered. Point defense full power. The Coalition fleet scattered. Ships dodged and weaved. Point defense lasers shot down hundreds of missiles. Shields absorbed what got through, but some shots connected. A cruiser took a direct hit and lost its engines. A frigate exploded when its reactor was breached. The Coalition was taking losses before they even fired back. Return fire, Carter commanded. All vessels weapons free. The Coalition fleet unleashed everything they had. Human fusion lances cut through space. Torpedoes phased through shields. Energy weapons from a dozen different species filled the void with light. The shields held better than the siege fleets had. These ships were newer, better protected, but the Coalition weapons still found their marks. Ships started taking damage. The fleets closed. The battle became chaos. Captain led his destroyer group straight at a cluster of cruisers. All ships, concentrated fire, target the lead vessel. The destroyers fired together. Their fusion lances struck the same point on the cruiser's shields. The shields flickered, failed. The next volley tore through the hull. But they responded. 10 ships focused on's group. Energy beams hammered the Swift Justice. The shields held, but barely. Evasive shouted, "Get us out of here." The destroyers scattered. One wasn't fast enough. It took multiple hits and broke apart. Lieutenant launched with her fighters. 300 small craft dove into the formation. They used every trick they knew. Tight turns, sudden stops, coordinated strikes. The fighters tried to respond, but they were outnumbered. For every human fighter, they had 5. But human pilots were better trained, more creative. They made every shot count. Destroyed 2 fighters and damaged a 3rd. Her wingman took out a bomber. All around her, the battle raged. "Stay focused," she called to her squadron. "Don't get separated. Watch each other's backs." A missile lock warning screamed in her cockpit. She rolled hard, released countermeasures, and the missile exploded harmlessly behind her. On the Fist of Dominion, Empress watched the battle with growing frustration. Her fleet had destroyed 30 coalition ships, but they had lost 50 against an inferior force. "What is happening?" she demanded. "We have superior numbers, superior firepower. Why are we losing ships?" "The humans fight differently," her war leader explained. "They coordinate better, their weapons are more effective, and the other species are following their lead. Then we use overwhelming force. All ships concentrate on the human flagship, destroy it, and their coordination falls apart." 300 warships turned toward the Defiant, every weapon locked on. They fired together. Admiral Carter saw it coming. Brace for impact, all power to shields. The Defiant shook as hundreds of energy beams struck its shields. The adaptive matrices tried to compensate, but there was too much incoming fire. The shields failed. Energy beams struck the hull directly. Alarms screamed. Fire broke out on multiple decks. The ship's armor held, but barely. "Damage report," Carter demanded. "Hull breaches on decks 5 through 12, reported Commander Chris. "Shield generators are offline, main weapons at 40%. We're hurt, sir." But Carter was already moving. "All ships, this is Carter. Execute Plan Omega now." The Coalition fleet had been waiting for this. They had focused everything on the Defiant. They had left themselves exposed. Every Coalition ship fired at once, not at the fleet in general, at one specific target. The Fist of Dominion. Empress saw the attack coming too late. Shields to maximum, evasive action. But the Fist of Dominion was too large to maneuver quickly, and the Coalition weapons were too many. Fusion lances from 50 human cruisers struck the flagship's shields. Quantum disruption torpedoes phased through and detonated inside the hull. Allied species added their own weapons to the barrage. The Fist of Dominion's shields collapsed. Its hull breached in 100 places. Its engines failed. Felt her ship dying around her. This was impossible. The never lost, never. But they were losing now. Admiral Carter opened a direct channel to the flagship. His face appeared on screen. He was injured. Blood ran down his face, but his eyes were hard. "Empress, your flagship is crippled. You have lost 400 ships. We have you surrounded. I offer you one chance. Withdraw your forces. Sign a non-aggression treaty, or we will destroy every ship you have." Wanted to refuse, wanted to fight to the last ship, but she looked at her tactical display. 400 ships gone, her flagship dying. The Coalition forces pressing their advantage. If she kept fighting, they would lose everything. "I accept your terms," she said. The words felt like poison. "All ships will withdraw immediately," Carter said. "You will not return to this system. You will not threaten the. If you break this agreement, we will come for you. And next time, we won't offer terms." Cut the transmission. She gave the order. The Armada retreated. The Coalition fleet watched them go. No one pursued. No one fired. They had won. That was enough. But the cost had been high. Admiral Carter walked through the damaged corridors of the Defiant. Bodies were being carried to the medical bay. Crew members worked to seal hull breaches. The ship would need months of repairs. The final count came in. The Coalition had lost 73 ships, 12,000 people dead, another 8,000 wounded. Every loss hurt. Every name on the casualty list was someone who had believed in the mission, someone who had stood for what was right. Captain survived, though his ship was heavily damaged. Lieutenant made it back, though half her squadron did not. General lost 1,000 Marines in boarding actions. But they had won. On Prime, Elder stood in the ruins of his capital city. Bombardment had destroyed whole sections. Millions had died before the humans arrived. But millions more lived because humans had come. He watched as human ships landed, bringing medical supplies and engineers to help rebuild. Other Coalition species did the same. The galaxy had come together to save his world. 3 days later, a memorial service was held in orbit above Prime. Representatives from every Coalition species attended. The names of all who died were read aloud. It took hours. Elder spoke at the service. His voice was old and tired, but it carried across every ship. 25 years ago, my people saved 300 humans because it was the right thing to do. We expected nothing in return, but humanity remembered. When we faced destruction, they came, they fought, they died for us. They showed the galaxy that kindness is not weakness, that honor still matters, that doing the right thing even when it costs you everything is what separates civilization from chaos. He paused, his eyes wet. We will never forget. Every child born on Prime will learn about this day, about the humans who returned a favor, about the species who stood together against tyranny. Your names will be remembered forever. Your sacrifice will inspire generations. Thank you. Ambassador Kate attended the service. She stood beside Admiral Carter, both of them in formal uniform. Was it worth it? She asked quietly. Carter looked at the stars, at the ships floating in silent tribute, at the people from a dozen different worlds united by a common cause. Yes, he said. Every life we lost mattered, every sacrifice had meaning. We showed the galaxy who we are, what we stand for, that's worth everything. The Galactic Council held an emergency session 1 week later. High Chancellor Morin stood before the assembled representatives. The Battle of Prime has changed everything, he said. Humanity has proven itself to be a major military power. They have also proven something else. They have shown that unity is possible, that cooperation works, that standing for principles can defeat aggression. He looked at Kate. The Council has voted. Humanity is offered a permanent seat on the Security Directorate. We ask you to help us create a new defensive alliance, one that protects those who cannot protect themselves, one that responds to aggression with action, not debate. Kate stood. We accept, but we have conditions. This alliance must act quickly when innocent lives are at stake. It must be based on mutual defense, not conquest. And it must remember that small acts of kindness, like the saving human colonists, matter just as much as grand gestures. Agreed, Morin said. The vote was unanimous. 6 months later, Admiral Carter and Elder stood together on Prime. The planet was rebuilding. New buildings rose from the ruins. Children played in the streets again. They stood before a memorial. It listed the names of all who died defending Prime. Human names. Names from every species that had joined the coalition. Your people changed the galaxy, said. Your people taught us how, Carter replied. 25 years ago, you showed us that helping those in need matters more than anything else. We just followed your example. Do you think the peace will last? For a while, they learned their lesson. Others saw what happened when they threatened our allies, but there will always be new threats, new challenges. And humanity will face them. Carter smiled. Together with our friends, that's the whole point. We're stronger together. Placed a hand on Carter's shoulder. It was a gesture of respect among the. You returned our favor 1,000 times over. The debt is paid, more than paid. There is no debt between friends, Carter said. Just mutual respect, mutual support, that's what matters. They stood in silence, looking at the memorial, at the names of those who had given everything for a simple principle. That kindness deserves to be rewarded, that good deeds should be remembered, that when someone needs help you don't debate, you act. The galaxy had learned that lesson. They had learned it from the who saved 300 humans 25 years ago. They had learned it from humanity, who returned that favor and made the entire galaxy tremble before their might. Not because humans were the strongest, not because they had the best weapons, but because when humans made a promise, they kept it. When humans owed a debt, they paid it. When humans called something friend, they would die to protect it. And that, more than any weapon or fleet, was what made humanity powerful. Across the galaxy, species who had watched the battle made their own decisions. Some chose to join the new defensive alliance. Others chose to change how they treated their neighbors. All of them understood one thing. Never underestimate the species from Earth, because they possess something rarer than technology or numbers. They possess loyalty, honor, the courage to do what is right no matter the cost. And they will always remember those who showed them kindness. And they were not alone. Morin realized that humanity was not what the Council had thought. They were not weak. They were not naive. They were something far more dangerous. They were loyal. Fear. Then she boarded a transport to join the fleet.